Hi everyone, I hope you're keeping safe and well. Again, thanks for all the words and comments that you sent through following my last video. They're really appreciated and thanks very much. As I went through the newspapers today, it's become really clear that we're heading full steam for what appears to be a really significant energy crisis. And what we really could do is we could easily distract ourselves, waste significant amounts of time focusing on what the external factors are, such as the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the war, the Nord Stream pipeline, etc. So we really need to move away from focusing on these external factors and start to condition ourselves to be better able to cope with this impending crisis. And being better able to cope with both the small and large crisis is the very point of lean. So we need to remember that crises are permanent. There are small crises that we sometimes tend to ignore, and then there are large crises that we're victims of. And I attended a seminar there recently where the speaker gave a really excellent overview of the different levels of crisis and how we can better understand the impact that they carry. And as the person said, if you can just picture yourself pouring a glass of beer and you end up in that dreaded situation where the glass slips from your hand and it ends up striking the countertop. And there really are three different types of interruption that will emerge from this experience. And the first one is you'll experience a glitch where the glass remains intact. You pick it up, you examine it, and when you're happy, you proceed then with pouring the beer and you go on to enjoy it. The second one then you experience is breakage, and where you'll give out for a while, you'll clean it up, you'll pick another glass from the shelf, and then you start the process over again. And then the third one you'll experience is the experience of an outage. And this is where the glass again is broken, but when you go to restock from the shelf, there are no glasses remaining. So now you have a number of choices on hand here now, right? You can pour the beer into a mug, and which, as you'll know, for many of us, that's just a non-runner, not going to drink beer from a mug. Or you could make your way to the nearest supplier and purchase a new glass. Or you could give in to the outage and just abandon the idea of a beer altogether and just finish the day on a bad note. So really looking across the water at the moment into the UK, the outage seems to be the decision that many companies in some sectors are making as they look at these forecasted energy price hikes. And it's also predicted that many Irish organisations will take a similar route where they'll actually choose to shut up shop and lay off staff, as they won't be able to sustain the rising energy costs. And is there any real way that companies can actually start to set themselves up for greater levels of success and not be succumbing to failure before this huge crisis has even taken its toll? As I mentioned earlier, the very point of lean is being able to deal with both the small and large crises, and there are a number of steps as well to companies that they really need to take and put in place to ensure success here. So the first lean step is flawless communication with everybody across the organization. This is really important now, and companies really need to put in a solid communication chain to really ensure that people know exactly who they can talk to if they believe something is actually happening or coming down the line at them. And this can include town hall meetings, toolbox talks, SharePoint pages, one-to-ones, etc. And there are a number of options available for communication out there today. But the bottom line here is that the business must go on whilst dealing with this current problem. And then that leads us into our second step, where it's setting up an obey room, which sometimes you might have referred to as a war room, or another way to think of it is with the ground control for the company's mission, where the company's strategy is just front and center here. And the obey rooms, these are really critical now for breaking down silo thinking, and it brings all elements and divisions of the business together to coordinate the responses in the face of a crisis. And similar to military strategy, it really enables the company to identify where the bottlenecks have occurred, who is close by, and who can actually help in this situation. And that leads us to our third point, where management must be on point then to help out when the process does become stuck, and delivering the frequent communication to all the parties impacted so that the reaction time is fast. As I spoke about in an early video, like lean thinking is all about training people to solve the small crises and problems that are going to they're going to come to the door on a daily basis, so that when the real tsunami actually hits, the mental habits that lead to quick reaction are firmly in place, as the company has they've learned from previous experience, and they have the essential lines of communication already set up. The relationships have been built, and the coordination reflexes have been fine-tuned to set the company up for greater levels of success when they're staring down the barrel of a complete outage. So thanks for watching, and again, give me a shout, any questions or feedback that you have. Have a great day and take care.